Roman Reigns returns to save Paul Heyman. Liv Morgan's arrest footage gets released and she shared her recovery update. Fans bash Alexa Bliss for using Twitter to complain. Vince McMahon's next business venture outside WWE reported. Sami Zayn has a deranged stalker freak. Footage leaked. Paul Heyman pays tribute to a late star, and more. Let's dive right in. Liv Morgan's arrest footage gets released. Liv Morgan was arrested back in December for possession of marijuana. Footage of her arrest has finally been released months later. The former SmackDown Women's Champion was arrested for possession of marijuana. However, she wasn't carrying more than 20 grams and was bonded out for a total of $3,000. Morgan's arrest footage was released via the Law and Crime Network. The video has already been making the rounds on social media and has gone viral. Morgan is currently involved in a storyline and feud with Becky Lynch. She recently came close to winning the vacant Women's World Championship. However, Lynch ultimately walked out as the new champion after winning a battle royal. The 29-year-old was responsible for forcing Rhea Ripley to relinquish the championship. An untimely shoulder injury led to Mommy being sidelined. Wrestling veteran Conan is a fan of Liv Morgan and is enjoying her current run. The 29-year-old recently cemented her heel turn on Monday Night Raw after reigniting her feud with Rhea Ripley. Speaking on the K100 podcast, Conan briefly discussed Morgan's stint as the SmackDown Women's Champion. He said, "I just thought that Liv Morgan has been somebody to me that was pushed down my throat when she had the title. I thought she didn't come off as a champion, and they gave her the title too soon. Then they tried to make her like this crazy chick, which I was not buying at all. This Liv Morgan is very, very entertaining. She's very confident and good on the mic." Morgan is set to challenge Becky Lynch for the Women's World Championship at the King and Queen of the Ring Premium Live event. The man is currently in her first reign with the title after previously failing to beat Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania XL. Meanwhile, a victory would mark Morgan's second ever reign as a singles champion in WWE. Liv Morgan shares her recovery update. WWE superstar Liv Morgan has now shed light on how her shoulder has been holding up ever since her return at the 2024 Royal Rumble. Morgan was on the shelf for almost 6 months due to a legitimate shoulder injury caused by a vicious backstage attack from Rhea Ripley. The 29-year-old female star was the runner-up in the multi-woman gimmick match, as Bayley won the Rumble to become a WWE Women's Champion at WrestleMania 40. The former Riot Squad member is currently on a Liv Morgan revenge tour, and she succeeded in exacting revenge on Mommy by assaulting her brutally on the April 8th episode of Monday Night Raw. This forced the Judgment Day member to vacate her Women's World Championship, which was captured by Becky Lynch later. While speaking to Chris Van Vliet on Insight, Liv Morgan was asked about how her shoulder was feeling following a successful surgery. The former SmackDown Women's Champion said, "Pain-free, full rotation, full mobility. Work on getting my full strength back. My right is a lot stronger than my left right now, but I'm feeling great. It moves great. Yeah. So I'm happy. I got very, very, very lucky because my shoulders are a little bit iffy. I've asked a lot of people on shoulder surgery, and they said, like, it kind of feels worse than it did before. And I'm very, very, very lucky that mine feels 100% normal." Fans bash Alexa Bliss for using Twitter to complain. Alexa Bliss tweeted about a horrible experience she recently had on an online marketplace. Then, she responded to a fan who accused her of posting on Twitter to complain about stuff. The former Raw Women's Champion has been away from in-ring action for over a year. She gave birth to her daughter in November 2023 and began training for her return earlier this year. Alexa Bliss is quite active on social media and occasionally shares her grievances with shopping outlets and airlines on Twitter. She recently posted a message about trying to buy a Disney hat from an online store and jokingly added that it turned out to be the worst experience of her life. "Tried buying a Disney hat on Mercari app. Worst experience of my life, lol," she wrote. Soon after, a fan tweeted a jibe at Bliss, stating that they've never had issues with the store, and that Bliss comes on Twitter just to complain. Little Miss Bliss responded sarcastically to the user immediately after, "Always." A fan responded to Bliss's tweet and said they never had an issue with the online store she mentioned. Bliss replied to the fan and said that the person on the other end didn't believe she was the real Lexi Kaufman and reported her account. She added that she can't get that back now. Haha, the person didn't think I was really me and reported my account, so no hat, just deleted the act. And you can't get the act back. Oh well, haha Mercari app, she wrote. Bliss will be back on WWE TV somewhere down the line. Her fans can't wait to finally see her back in action on a weekly basis after her lengthy hiatus. Vince McMahon's next business venture outside WWE reported. The latest report sheds light on Vince McMahon's next business venture outside of WWE. He resigned from the TKO Group following accusations against him in the Janelle Grant lawsuit in January 2024. McMahon has been surrounded by controversies during his tenure in the Stamford-based promotion. World Wrestling Entertainment's former chairman stepped down from his role after he was accused of trafficking by his former employee, Janelle Grant. Vince McMahon's lawyers have filed a statement of material facts. The filing stated that he and Grant were in a 3-year relationship that ended in 2022, following which the latter personally negotiated a monetary compensation. However, according to the latest report by Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer Radio, McMahon made the mentioned filing to rehabilitate his image enough to where he can do business as a businessman, because that's what he wants to do, via cage-side seats. The report also mentioned that Vince's next business venture will likely not be related to wrestling. World Wrestling Entertainment recently filed a motion to compel arbitration in the Vince McMahon and Janelle Grant lawsuit. The company disputed Grant's allegations, as the latter had signed a separation and non-disclosure agreement with McMahon and the Stamford-based promotion. Here's an excerpt. WWE disputes Grant's allegations, but as a threshold matter, this dispute cannot be heard in court because Grant agreed to arbitrate her claims. WWE therefore moves to compel this action to arbitration. Simply put, Grant has no claims actionable in this court because the separation and non-disclosure agreement she signed with McMahon and WWE, the agreement, the monetary benefits of which she concededly accepted and retained, contains an arbitration provision that unambiguously precludes this court from adjudicating her claims. Many stars from the Stamford-based promotion have talked about the accusations against their former boss. It remains to be seen what Vince McMahon has planned for his next business venture outside of wrestling. Sami Zayn has a deranged stalker freak, footage leaked. Sami Zayn believes that he has a stalker. The WWE Intercontinental Champion has showcased footage of the issue now. The Intercontinental Champion was not always the babyface champion that he is today. Before WrestleMania 2 years ago, Zayn found himself in the unlikeliest of feuds heading into the show of shows. He lost his Intercontinental title, which he was holding then as well, to Ricochet, thanks to interference from Johnny Knoxville. The two ended up in a feud that saw them compete in a no DQ match at WrestleMania. The match saw Knoxville defeat Zayn, with the rest of the former's friends interfering on his behalf. At Zayn's comedy special last Saturday, this was repeated with Knoxville confronting him, allowing Wee Man to attack him and hit him with a low blow. To say that Zayn was unhappy with the situation would be understating it. He has now spoken up on X and showcased the footage from the incident as well. Knoxville turned up in disguise, and the two exchanged insults before Becky Lynch appeared on stage to make peace between the two. Knoxville pretended to be sorry, and they hugged, but Wee Man used that as a distraction to hit Zayn with a low blow and body slam him before they were both taken away. On social media, Sami Zayn said that he had a blast at the comedy show, but his deranged stalker freak, Johnny Knoxville, turned up to try to ruin it. My comedy show at the Netflix's A Joke Festival last Saturday was an absolute blast. I will post more about it soon. But I should note that deranged stalker freak Johnny Knoxville showed up and tried to ruin the show. Here's a bit of what took place. Only CM Punk and Drew McIntyre managed to use the WWE draft to their advantage. The WWE draft is over, and the rosters are set. Both CM Punk and Drew McIntyre were drafted to Monday Night Raw, which means they will continue their rivalry into the summer. McIntyre was irate when he was drafted after Punk. The Scottish Warrior felt there was no way a prime talent like him should have been drafted after the straight-edge superstar, who was sidelined with an injury. On a recent edition of Jim Cornette's Drive-Thru, the veteran claimed the WWE draft did not pick talent in a logical order. He felt stars like Punk and Drew should have been the first draft picks after the champions. However, Jim Cornette noted that NXT stars were picked ahead of them. They're not picking in any logical way in the WWE. The talent that would be picked in a legitimate shoot draft, they're not. Automatically, the first draft picks beside the champions would be the Drew McIntyres, the CM Punks, whatever, and it's not happening. The third pick was a guy from NXT. The top 8 was a girl from NXT. They may be lovely, but right now, they ain't more important than CM Punk or Drew McIntyre, or even Jade Cargill or Braun Breaker, said Cornette. Cornette felt that WWE conducted the draft to get some good ratings. He detailed that only CM Punk and Drew McIntyre managed to use the draft storyline to further their rivalry. They tried to do this for ratings. I don't think it had any appreciable effect on the ratings. It didn't further any major things going on, except for Punk and McIntyre got a chance to make something out of it. Paul Heyman pays tribute to late star. Paul Heyman shared a heartfelt tribute to a late star on his recent Instagram story. The star in question is New Jack, who passed away 3 years ago. New Jack passed away on May 14th, 2021, due to a heart attack. The ECW legend was one of the most notorious entities in the pro wrestling world and was dubbed by many as one of the most controversial stars in the business. Shortly after New Jack's death, Paul Heyman shared an emotional tribute to the late legend on Talking Smack. Heyman shared a link to the promo on his latest Instagram story and sent a heartfelt message to the late star. 3 years ago, R.I.P. New Jack. New Jack worked for ECW back in 1995-2001. He made a name for himself in the promotion and later worked for several other companies. Heyman had a lot to say about the late veteran in his Talking Smack tribute. When I heard that New Jack had passed away, my hope was that New Jack had turned to his own wife and said, "Hey, I'd like to read my own obituary. Call a bunch of people and tell them that I died. Everybody's going to make a big fuss about it, and I'll read about my own life." Then, at some point this weekend, they'd sell a bunch of t-shirts and he'd sit there and go, "Gotcha," because that's what New Jack would do. Paul Heyman has been a mainstay on WWE TV for more than a decade at this point since his return to the company. He is currently associated with the Bloodline as its on-screen manager. The faction currently consists of Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Heyman. Were you a fan of New Jack back in the day? Sound off. Roman Reigns has not been seen on WWE programming since he was dethroned by Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania XL. In fact, apart from a TikTok video where he vowed to come back stronger, the Tribal Chief has kept near radio silence in this post-Mania absence. This has left the Bloodline in a state of disarray, with the faction going through a flurry of changes. As Solo Sikoa reshapes the group in his vision to a backdrop of "We want Roman" chants from every arena, the head of the table's return doesn't seem close. The best guess as to when he could potentially resurface would be the road to WWE SummerSlam, which is a Big Four premium live event. However, some exigent circumstances could force the 6-time world champion to make an early comeback. Here are 4 storyline and backstage factors that could prompt Roman Reigns to make an immediate return to WWE. Number 1, Jacob Fatu's impending WWE debut could bring Roman Reigns out of hiatus. Jacob Fatu is arguably the most anticipated WWE signing of the year. The former MLW World Heavyweight Champion's work has been making waves for a while, and reports that he signed with the TKO-owned promotion caused great excitement among fans. In fact, a section of the audience went so far as to label the Samoan werewolf the most talented member of the entire family. It's very likely Fatu will be presented as a major player in the Bloodline upon arrival into the company. So major that his arrival might force Roman Reigns to return to reassert himself as the Tribal Chief and demand acknowledgement. This would be an excellent way to show the fans that the 32-year-old is a serious main event talent and give him instant top star momentum. Alternatively, Reigns could return with Fatu by his side to oppose Solo Sikoa's alliance with Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. Number 2, various backstage reasons could bring Roman Reigns back to WWE early. Although WWE's business is still incredibly hot, the company's product is going through a somewhat lean period. The few months after WrestleMania have traditionally been somewhat dull compared to the fireworks of the road to the show of shows, and 2024 is no different. Although Backlash, France was incredible, and the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments have produced some great matches, ratings and attendance have noticeably dipped. On top of that, main event stars like CM Punk, Rhea Ripley, Seth Rollins, and Drew McIntyre are all out of action with injury, and The Rock is back in Hollywood. Should 1 or 2 more top competitors catch the injury bug, or ratings take a sudden plunge to worrying levels, Triple H could call on his biggest star to save the day. Given that he's a free agent, Roman Reigns could pop up anywhere and stay as long as needed. Number 3, The Rock making a move in the Bloodline could flush Roman Reigns out of hibernation. After the blockbuster events of WWE WrestleMania XL, a pretty big question hangs over the Bloodline. Who is the group's real leader? Is it still the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns? Is it the Tribal Heir, Solo Sikoa, who seems to be taking advantage of Reigns' absence to take the family in his own direction? Is The Rock behind Sikoa's apparent hostile takeover? That final question could be the one that brings Reigns out of his break. Fans have long suspected that the Enforcer's bold moves are backed by the final boss, although he claims to have been given the go-ahead by the head of the table. Should it be revealed that the Great One is, indeed, behind the Street Champ's recent moves, the Tribal Chief could imminently return to reassert dominance. This would kickstart a bloodline civil war, eventually leading to a dream match between the 2 biggest megastars in the family. All it takes is one revelation to immediately light the fuse. Number 4, an attack on Paul Heyman could trigger an immediate return to WWE for Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns' disappearance after WWE WrestleMania XL has affected one person most above all: Paul Heyman. The Bloodline's wise man has looked lost without his tribal chief, and often scared whilst dealing with the young and brash solo Sikoa. It has been teased that Heyman could be in danger should he fail to do the bidding of the tribal heir, whose methods he seemingly disagrees with. It seems like only a matter of time until Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa lay the smackdown on Heyman, kicking him out of the faction and completing their takeover. This attack on Reigns' beloved advocate, who imposes the tribal chief's will in the latter's absence, could be what brings the six-time world champion back to WWE. With the way things have been going on WWE SmackDown, it may not be long until this happens.